One of the common misconceptions about interfaces is that they're used to implement multiple inheritance in C#. And I have seen books, videos, and blog posts that make such claim. But unfortunately, that claim is fundamentally wrong. Interfaces got nothing to do with inheritance. Let's go to Visual Studio and see what I mean by looking at a piece of code. Okay, in this project, I'm demonstrating the concept of a UI framework. So we have a class like UI control with a bunch of properties like ID, size, and top left, assuming that each UI control, like a text box or drop-down list, can share these attributes. It also provides a couple of methods like draw and focus. It's a very, very basic implementation. Now let's create a class called textbox. Public class textbox, and we can derive it from UI control. So in some languages like C++, a class can have multiple base classes, and this is what referred to as multiple inheritance. So we can have UI control here, and let's, for sake of discussion, say we can also inherit from size. It doesn't make sense conceptually, but just for the example. Look, we immediately get a red underline here, because in C#, this class cannot have multiple base classes. But what we can do here is to have this text box implement multiple interfaces. So we can say it implements iDraggable or iDroppable. And now we have to implement these interfaces. So Alt and Enter. There you go. Now I mentioned that interfaces got nothing to do with inheritance. Let me clarify that. When we use inheritance, for example, when we derive from UI control, basically we write all that code once here, and then we don't have to type it again. The text box automatically inherits all that code. But what about interfaces? Let's take a look at iDraggable. That interface doesn't have any code. It just includes a method declaration. Same for iDroppable. There is no code. So when we go and implement that interface in a class like textbox, we have to type that method declaration again and then actually implement it. So there is no code to inherit. There is no reusability. And that's the reason I explain interfaces got nothing to do with inheritance. On the surface, from a syntactical point of view, yes, they look like they are base classes of the text box. But this is just syntax. It's fundamentally wrong to say a class inherits from an interface. A class implements an interface, because an interface, as you see here, is simply a contract. It's saying that any class that implements this interface should have a method that is public, void, and called drop. And that's what we type here. So that's the truth about interfaces and inheritance. Unfortunately, when I started learning about C# and I came across this topic, the book I read told me that interfaces are used to implement multiple inheritance. And that statement, as I explained, was fundamentally wrong, and it took me years to really get it. For years, I was confused and frustrated thinking, how can I reuse code by inheriting from these interfaces? And the truth is, that is not possible. There is no code reusability. All we are doing is confirming to a contract. We're making sure that the public interface of our class has the methods or members as declared in the interface. So I just wanted to clarify this to you in case you come across some books, blog posts, or videos that claim interfaces are used for implementing multiple inheritance. Anyone who says that definitely does not have a deep understanding of interfaces. Interfaces are used for building loosely coupled, extensible, and testable applications, not for code reusability. But interfaces do provide polymorphic behavior, and that's what I'm going to explain to you in the next lecture. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and thank you for watching.